Nothing else matters because we have Blackened American Whiskey distiller Rob Dietrich joining us right here on the Music Universe podcast. Oh, Matt, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm dressed for my next thing, which is a political thing. Not wearing what you'll see me wear in the interview, but I have to go from one tape to the other, so I'm just dressed, and I think blue and purple match the background quite well.
Yeah, it does. Now, have you gotten drunk yet off this little bottle of?
I'll tell you what I did the other day. I took it. You'll see in the interview. I take a swig, and then it about halfway through, it just drops, and I feel it. So
yeah. Well, we're gonna. I got mine after the interview, as you're gonna see during the interview, and I haven't tried it yet. We're gonna take Rob's suggestions, and we're gonna taste this bad boy. You do during the interview, but we're gonna take his suggestion and try that way as soon as we're done with the interview. So stick around.
You know, and I had no clue that Metallica was involved. I thought this was just some guy who had a process. I didn't know what blackened whiskey was because I'm not a drinker, but this was really, really fascinating. So have a listen, go pour some whiskey, and then let's have a toast afterwards. Have a listen. All right, Rob Dietrich, distiller with Blackened American Whiskey. I have here batch number 114 from the Black album. Really, really exciting stuff going on over at your distillery. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. Before we begin, though, I got these today. I have not tested it yet. I'm not a drinker whatsoever, and I've never done this on any podcast I've ever done. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there like that. I'm going to try this out. I have nothing but ice in here. I'm going to try this.
Very good.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so generally, if you're trying a whiskey for the first time,
tell me what I did wrong, please.
No. I was gonna say, what I like to do is just generally nose it. So I'll put it in an empty glass without ice and nose it. You're gonna get a lot of the aroma, pick up some of the the aspects of the whiskey, and then usually when you're taking a first sip, you're gonna kind of let it roll over the back and the sides of your tongue. And then that will acclimate your mouth a little bit. And then that second sip, you're gonna get a lot more of the flavor profile from it.
Oh, wow.
But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
That was great. Yeah, I'll try that. I'm going to save that. We got more stuff coming up here. Buddy has to get his. So I love those tips. I'll do those when we do our wrap after this interview. So how'd you get involved in Metallica's official whiskey here? What's your story, sir?
Well, not that it probably would have made a difference, but I was a Metallica fan first and foremost.
Oh, wow.
That was probably in 7th grade, I think, is when I first heard Master of Puppets for the first time. So, I've been a lifelong Metallica fan, and I've been making whiskey for about 15 years now. And I originally started out with Stranahan's Colorado whiskey. I was their master distiller, and the original master distiller for Blackened was the legendary Dave Pickerel. This guy was well renowned for his expertise in the craft distilling industry. And when Metallica came up with the idea to create their own whiskey, they really wanted to find someone who was a master of the craft, just as they're masters of music. They wanted to find someone who was a master of creating whiskey, and that was Dave. And Dave really, he wanted to kind of pull out the stops and create something incredible. And that was, a blend of all these great whiskeys. And I'll get into the depth of the whiskey later, but it was, something that was really important for Metallica to create a whiskey that could stand independently on its own. And that's why you don't see Metallica anywhere on the bottle. If you're a Metallica fan, you obviously will recognize, Blackened as, the name of one of their songs, also their record label. And for the whiskey enthusiast, they're going to recognize it as being a nod to some part of the process of making the whiskey. I got involved, Dave passed away in November of 2018 at an event that I was at in San Francisco. Excuse me. Really kind of in a way kind of died with his boots on. He was at a whiskey fest. He was doing what he loved, and it was very sudden. And we obviously we're kind of a close knit group of folks in the distilling industry. So it hit us pretty hard, but he, at that point, I had, someone from the Metallica team had reached out to me, and asked me if I was interested in taking up the mantle of creating and making Blackened whiskey, which I was absolutely ecstatic to be on that list. There was definitely a list of folks that were looking at.
Well, I know that this celebrates the 30th anniversary of the Black Album. That I have to admit, that's when I first was introduced to Metallica. I wasn't a heavy metal guy. But then when I went back and checked out their catalog, Master of Puppets is like the best heavy metal album, in my opinion, especially from that era. So what does it mean to you to actually get to distill it's a unique process that, explain what you can of it. I know you can't explain everything, but what is it like to actually put this iconic album into this whiskey? I
think it's the perfect storm. I really, for me, it's, the whiskey is incredible. And to kind of speak on the process and what we're doing with the music and the whiskey, and specifically the Black Album. And that is that's our sonic enhancement process. So to break down the whiskey, we are an American whiskey blend. So we take whiskeys from, Tennessee bourbon, Kentucky bourbon, Indiana rye, Indiana bourbon, Canadian rye, and we'll blend all these together. These are all aged for an average of 8 years in white American oak with a number 3 char. And at that point, we'll take that blended whiskey together. We'll finish it. We'll do what we call cask finishing in black brandy barrels, which is Spanish brandy. At that point, we are applying our black noise sonic enhancement process. And I'm a whiskey nerd first and foremost. So I love getting into the little details and the minutia of how a whiskey is made from grain to bottle, from where the water comes from, where the grain comes from, what kind of yeast you're using. But when it came to the sonic enhancement, I was just completely intrigued and blown away by the concept. And what I loved about it is that there's science behind it. There's some very very solid science. There, just as Dave was a master of his craft, Metallica is a master of their craft, I'm a master of my craft. We reached out to Meyer Sound, which is the company that creates that wall of sound for Metallica. They build their proprietary speakers for their touring, and as well as their studio shows. And so we got together with them. They created a proprietary device that plays, of course, Metallica music at a very low frequency. And when you have music at a low frequency like that, it creates a very rapid vibration. We've all been at a concert where you've walked in front of a speaker and you just feel that vibration in your chest. You're feeling that motion, that movement in there. That's exactly what's happening inside the barrel when we're playing the music at that low frequency. So, every batch has a batch number at the top of the bottle. Here's the bottle right here. Let's see if I can. That right 12. There. So you got a batch number. So you can look up. You can go to blackenedwhiskey.com. You can look up that batch number, see which band members selected the playlist that was used to sonically enhance that batch, and you can actually take a photo of it with your phone, and it will populate on your Spotify, and you can actually listen to that to that set list, so to speak, for the playlist.
That is, and of
course
cool.
with the Black Album, we released just honoring the anniversary of the Black Album. We played the entire Black Album in our sonic enhancement process for batch 114, and did a special edition Blackened whiskey pack. So it comes in a box. This is actually the first. Let's see here we go. Yeah. You can see we've got the iconic iconography there, and of course the Blackened whiskey box. Inside the box also came a what we call the snake bite recipe booklet. So you got a little fold out booklet with all the different recipes you can have on there, some information on the bands and the brands, and then you get your own. Let's see here, challenge coin. So you got nice. Blackened on one side, and then you got the Metallica iconography on the other side. So it's just, for me, it's just it's such an honor to be a part of such a cool project like that. To really tie in my passion of music and my passion for making whiskey all together, and kind of culminating in this Black Album special limited edition pack.
Yeah. How limited? How limited is limited? How many bottles? How many packages, like what you just showed us, are going to be available?
They are available now. So it is available, and you can check out on blackenedwhiskey.com. It's just we don't usually speak like to exact numbers on a release, but it is limited. We're only releasing it once, so if you can find it, definitely pick it up.
Now, you guys have also done Batch 106, which was Metallica and San Francisco Symphony Orchestra S&M2 last year. It's a great album. I went for the deluxe vinyl CD package on that one, and that won double gold at the 2020 John Burleycorn Awards. So congrats on all that with you guys. And then Batch 100 was released last summer with 2 exclusive 12-inch vinyl picture discs featuring 12 Metallica tracks. So it's really cool how you guys are going above and beyond. You're not just releasing whiskey, but you're putting all these cool little artifacts with it, if you will.
Absolutely. I was very honored again. The band asked me to select those 12 songs for the Batch 100, and they originally I sent those to Lars, and he was going to cull it down to 6 songs. So he said, pick 12 songs. I'll cull it down to 6. We're going to release a one vinyl record whiskey pack. And he liked all the songs so much that I had selected. He said, no, forget it. We're gonna release a 2 record whiskey pack instead. We're using all the music, which to me was just super cool. It was a lot of fun being a part of that project, and again, it was an honor that they asked me to select the songs, and they got made into a record. I mean, that's a lot of fun. I'm a huge vinyl collector. I've got probably about 2,500 records, and so for me, it was so exciting to be able to get that and just put it on the record player and play it for the first time, and see my ugly mug on there, spinning around. It was a lot of fun.
Well, since you inspired that one so much, be honest, did they give you the very first pressing?
No, they didn't. I didn't really even think about that. That probably, hopefully, that's ended up at the HQ, at Metallica HQ. There'll be because I know they like to collect. They've been very good at collecting all throughout the ages. So hopefully they got the first pressing.
Yeah, and I'm hoping this year, rumors circulating that we're going to see a 30th anniversary deluxe box of this album. What songs on that album do you just love, that you just can't get enough of?
It's such an iconic record. I mean, the music from it. When I was in the Army, we did several deployments, and it was kind of our anthem. We were using the Black Album. No, yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. It really meant a lot to us, and I think there's so many songs that have a lot of feeling. For me, I mean, Unforgiven is such a great ballad. Wherever I may roam, I'm a bit of a nomad myself. So that every single song on that record tends to speak to me. So I feel like it's really about the mood I happen to be in. It's hard to select just one of those songs as being a favorite. I mean, there's so many incredible ones.
Yeah, no, you're right. I remember sitting in band class, and we weren't playing for some reason. We got to bring our own music, and Enter Sandman was playing, and my best friend at the time and I who is that? Like, who is this band? He wasn't even introduced to him at that point. And he loves like Sabbath and all those classic bands, and instantly we searched for it, found the album. I've got it on DVD audio, so it's 5.1. It's that's like the greatest iconic rock album of all time. And to have whiskey to go with it that was brewed with it, or distilled with it, is just really super cool. And as we're saying this, I don't have my whiskey yet. I'm looking forward to trying it. We're going to try it at the beginning of the episode when we go back and record that, and it's going to be fabulous. And what before we wrap, what is it, what do you expect fans to take from it? Like, is there a certain taste that you're expecting them to take?
Well, each batch is slightly different. My job as the master distiller and blender is to ensure that every batch has the same quality and consistency as the batch before it, and then we let the music change those just slight elements to the whiskey itself. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be finding a little bit of sweeter notes from the bourbon aspect. That's the sweetness from the corn. You're going to get a little spiciness of the rye. There's going to be almost like a hint of apricot, like almost like dried apricot. Excuse me. And that I feel probably comes from the brandy aspect. You're going to find that there's going to be elements of that just tie it all together when you have the cask finishing element in there. And of course, you're gonna pick up the flavors from the wood, which oak in itself just really lends about 100% of the color. It lends 100% of the color, and about 50%. About 50% of the flavor profile will be from the wood itself. So you always want to start out with the best ingredients, but the wood is going to give you all that depth of sugar and flavor and all those natural tannins and vanillins in the wood. Or you're gonna find those little subtle notes in the whiskey as well.
I love that. Awesome. What else before we let you go, this will be my last question. What else is up your sleeve as the master distiller? I mean, I know you probably can't divulge too much. We're focusing on this project, but I mean, what inspires you to be at this cross section of music and whiskey? And what ideas, in a general sense, are you working on for maybe the next project?
I think the best thing about this job, and if I could call it a job, I mean, I love what I do. So it's, but the best aspect of it is that, I'm working with and for artists, that the band is always creative. They're always being creative. They're always thinking outside the box. They always want to do something unique and unusual and collaborative. And that they've been very good about allowing me to have the freedom to be able to explore within the realm of my expertise. And so I've got some really fun things that are coming out to the future. Nothing I can speak specifically about, but I am absolutely ecstatic about some of the things we've got coming out. And again, it's really being able to have the room to maneuver and to really just sky's the limit, create.
Yeah. Love that. Rob Dietrich, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, gentlemen.
I've got my glass. It's warm. Got my bottle.
I'm drinking from the bottle this time. I didn't bring a glass.
Well, I guess I could.
Well,
I'm going to pour in a glass like he suggested.
So, all right, I'm just going to sniff like this.
I'm going to tell you, at this point that we're recording this, I haven't had food, and I had breakfast, but
I'm in the same boat. I just got back from somewhere.
Starting to wear thin. So let's try it.
All right, what's the process? So, sniff.
Wow.
Wait, that's sip one where it rolls back, and then you do a shot.
Well, mine was a little bit of both. Wow.
Oh, yeah, you definitely get more after you lube yourself up with it. I'm not a drinker. Don't let this influence you either way.
I'm not much either, but I'll tell you, I've got this, and we got a couple other different samples of their brand that we're going to try likely at some point. But thanks to Rob and the team for sending this out to us. Very cool.
I love it. I do like it. I'm not that much of a drinker, but I do like the warm sensation. I love the notes of the sweetness, like Q was saying. You taste it when you get over the initial shock. You do taste it. But thanks for watching this fail at drinking whiskey, friends. We love you.
And I'm going to tell you, the bottle will be cleaned up, all three of them, and they will be displayed with the rest of my collectible merchandise. But what's funny is about 13, 14, 15 hours after our interview with Rob, Metallica announces the 30th anniversary of the Black Album, which you see during the interview. I kind of mentioned about it, and of course, have no fear that happens, which Rob wouldn't likely be able to tell us much anyway. but because he's on, the whiskey side of things, obviously, but it's really cool. I already have the set pre-ordered. I mean, it's $240 for the massive set, but you get 26 discs. That's 14 CDs, 6 DVDs, and 6 vinyl records, plus a plethora of other things. And it comes out in September, plus a really other cool item that I think you might be even more interested in, Matt, is the 53 artist compilation, where they are tribute, you could say, of the Black Album, with 11 different versions of Nothing Else Matters. And you have Chris Stapleton, you have John Party, and also
well, that just
Mickey
shows you how
Guyton
much
covering that song.
That just shows you how much Metallica has managed to cross genre and really become a pop band in that way. They would hate that they're not doing pop music, but pop was described to me one time as any music that enters the popular mainstream. And that's what Metallica has done. They popularized heavy metal. They have a lot of Metallica metalheads all over the world. And James Hetfield does a lot. I watched the Ted Bundy movie about 2 nights ago, the Netflix one with Zac Efron and Jim Parsons. Extremely wicked, shockingly evil and vile. And you blink and you miss it, but James Hetfield plays a cop early on in the movie.
Yeah, he does.
And I didn't even realize it. So, Metallica is just such a part of our presence, a part of our presence in our world. And it was really interesting to see. And you know what? We might have to go to Vegas to see them if they ever do Vegas. Bring that up just to transition to say, I've started packing already. I don't know about you, but we're about 2 weeks away. I have to call United, make sure my flight is the correct date. But I've started, because I got to bring so much gear, I've started doing a little bit of laundry, putting stuff away, finishing up with a piece of gear, putting it away for the trip. So I've started working around the clock on that, so that it's not such a heavy lift over the holiday before I fly out. So really exciting with what's coming up.
We are 2 weeks away from the time we're recording this. It'll be a week when this runs, but it is exciting. And as I told Rob, that the Black Album is my introduction into Metallica. So that's why I went all out and got the massive box set that I did not do for the other previous 4 albums. But I'm really looking forward to everything that's coming up with that. And I know they're only playing festivals in the US this year. Hopefully they'll hit Vegas or even LA or wherever, and we can make it a fun trip and see them. They're a band I've never seen live. I'm just not into the mosh pits that start. So I don't think that I'd want to stand in the pit, but
they're one of these bands that sort of do what I call the hot dog way of being center arena, that they're literally in the center of the ice. They're not back up against the entrance chute where, so that the artist can come in and out. They're not in the round, but back against the side. They're literally in the center, which I think is just really interesting. And James doesn't wear a headset, but there's a bunch of those Shure Super 55s, which hang on. One second.
Have one yourself you're going to show us?
Yes. Falling over all my wires here, but here it is.
Yeah. That's kind of his thing he likes to do.
This is, don't do that. This is.
I thought it was pretty good. Come on.
It was funny. No, but he has the black and red Metallica microphone, but it's this. There's nothing different or special. It's this one, which is the mic I podcasted on for years and years and years and years. So very familiar with their gears.
It's in our podcast photo too that you're holding there when folks see that. But yeah, it'll be fun. The whiskey's great. It's available limited batch anywhere that they sell blackened American whiskey, and it's all American. Obviously, it's in the title, and it's really cool that it's distilled here in the States. But really cool to chat with Rob and to hear that process of how they basically distill it with the sonic booms of the songs of the Black Album and any other projects that they do, and the packets that they put together for these things are really cool too.
I love it. All right. Well, for the Music Universe podcast, I'm Matt.
And buddy, thanks for listening or watching on socials. And be sure to hit that subscribe button at tmupod.com. And obviously, always check us out at themusicuniverse.com for the latest news, reviews, and release info. Take care.